beauty can absolutely lead us down pathways that, go beyond just the makeup counter. And it goes beyond the next med spa. It goes beyond the next gym or the wellness class or meditation class or acupuncturist that you're going to meet. It more than likely will impact the way that we pick food off of our shelves. So today is a very, very special interview with a good friend of mine, Maddie.
Mm-hmm.
This is Maddie Steitz of Maddie's Natural Sweetener, and I'm so excited to jump in and talk all things wellness with you.
Hey, Gabby. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I've absolutely loved everything that you do and excited to share about how we can be fueling ourselves from within, from the inside out.
Oh, thanks, girl. This is a very special podcast for me. I feel like we're going to get a little bit personal into what wellness really means.
Yeah.
Especially in the beauty space. And it's been really interesting the last 5-10 years, really watching the influence of, I truly want to say, Los Angeles wellness culture coming into the forefront of media. I have to say there's no other place like LA.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's crazy.
Crazy, right?
Absolutely crazy. I mean, coming from small town Washington straight to Venice, one of the wellness capitals of the world, different planets. Absolutely different planets.
Describe what living in a wellness capital of the world might be like.
Everything, every social event, every interaction has to do with health and wellness or beauty. But mainly it's every biohacking thing, every new tincture that there is, whether it be about mushrooms or about cold plunging. It's everyone thinks that their dad is, oh my God, now I'm blanking on his name.
Which influence?
Not Hoffman. Starts with an H.
Goggins.
Well, it's all about either.
Oh, Huberman.
Huberman.
There you go.
Yeah.
Do you like how we're literally just throwing all the names out?
Goggins, Huberman, Gold's Gym, the Mecca. Oh yeah, there's some new wellness events that are popping up every day. I've worked at a couple of them, and it is the driving force. If you are not on the 8 ball of whatever the new trend is, you are 5 years behind. Yet everyone else that you talk to in the country has not even heard of it yet.
Los Angeles listeners, if you are looking for a more boutique and personal approach to fitness, be sure to check out Coach Jima in downtown LA. From the private location and personal training, where you have the option to train one-on-one or with a couple friends, or even solo, we encourage you to master your balance where holistic health meets fitness training. Choose a fitness program that fits your personal goals. From a 2-day reset to a 30-day jumpstart into a new lifestyle, Coach Jima will guide you through. For our listeners, we have a gift of 3 months at 50% off. Use code JYM, JYIM 50, and sign up at coachjyima.com/contact. I do also have to say that this is, it's been a bit of a culture shock coming back to LA. Culture shock. Because, quite frankly, being removed, because I was in Venice. That's where I met you.
Yeah.
We were Venice neighbors, and you were living with one of my best friends, Jess. And coming back, leaving Venice, coming back, girl, it is a completely different world here.
Yeah. And it's easy to get lost in that vortex.
100%.
It's so easy to think that the rest of the world is all doing this.
Yeah.
And it takes leaving to truly be oh, wow. No, not everyone is a size 2 cold plunging every morning person.
Yeah, no. And I look back on pictures and I look back at my, because living in LA, I had a trainer. I was constantly getting my body scanned. I was just constantly wrecking myself about not being fit enough or dropping enough body fat percentage or not feeling lean enough. And I look back and I'm just like, oh my God. And I look at the pictures and at the paperwork, like my actual health report. And it's the healthiest I had been was when I was living in Venice.
Wow.
Because it was so active. It's like easy to go on runs. I think also too, we're half naked half the time.
Half naked, getting so much sun, walking everywhere. I mean, I lived 2 years without a car. I don't know many other places in the US that you can do that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so compare Venice and the wellness culture to the type of culture that you grew up with. What was that like?
And I grew up in a very like mountain town, super athletic, very like athletics driven community with access to a lot, like ski mountain town in the winter and lakes, surfing, boats, swimming in the summer. But LA, it tends to be a lot more about vanity and not actual health. And growing up in that town, you don't have access to a lot of things. And that's part of what was the driving force of me moving to LA is I felt like I lacked access to the newest, hottest health trends and even food. Like year-round quality produce is really hard when you're in a frozen tundra half the year.
Yeah.
But it was just very easy to feel like a big fish in a small pond in that small town, or like easy to feel like, oh, I'm super healthy and super fit when you're playing that comparison game. But when you're playing the comparison game in LA and you're on social media or you're walking around the mall, there's always someone hotter, someone skinnier, someone with better skin, someone with like the newest makeup routine. And it's really hard to feel like you're doing enough.
Oh, 100%. And I do have to attribute a lot of the influence to being on set too. Being on set, working with models and actresses, you just naturally get like kind of wrapped up in presentation. Obviously, and I was working as a makeup artist for all of the time that I was living in LA. And so with that being said, there was a lot of influence. But going back to what you were saying about, not having access to the latest and greatest, what spurred you on to seek the latest and greatest health and wellness trends? Like, tell me a little bit about your wellness journey.
Yeah. Well, it really started, I would say, when I was really young. I was a multi-sport athlete and got really competitive with swimming. And the first things I learned about wellness and about food had to do with performance and how to become an even better competitor in the pool. But I felt like I was behind the 8 ball of those that I was competing with that were coming out of UCLA, that were coming from Southern California, that had access to more outdoor pools even.
Wow.
And I was competing with people that I felt had an upper hand on me or an advantage because they had just bigger and better teams and schools and access to even like more rigorous classes. In my small town, when it came to academics, at the time there was like 1 AP class even available to me at Kashmir High School. But if I transferred to Wenatchee, there was like 10 AP classes. But then I would be pen pals with someone else across the country, and every class was potential to be an AP class. And I just had this pressure from this young age, like, oh, even if I'm the best in this town, I'm behind the 8 ball compared to everyone else in the world.
That's so interesting that you recognized the impact of wellness and the access in sportsmanship and in academics, which is so that's so interesting. That's not even what I was anticipating for you to say that was an influence, but in the sportsmanship realm, like I could see that for sure, because when it comes to Southern California, goodness, the athletics down here, I think it's because of the access to all the wellness. And all of the...
Well, and the weather.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing for me too. And going on to more like mental health wellness is I was really struggling in the winter times, and you want to stay at home. You want to stay inside. You want different meals versus in California, you can be swimming in an outdoor pool year round. You can be training in the proper pool lengths year round. You don't have to be in like the one indoor pool in a 45-mile radius. We had people coming in from all these small towns driving an hour a day, or sometimes I was having to drive 45 minutes one direction every day with my parents to just be able to practice in a facility that we had access to. It was really hard and really competitive.
So driving 45 minutes to the facility and having to essentially grow up with that highly competitive comparison, if you will.
Yeah.
What did that do to your perception of self and the way that you care for yourself?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I felt like I had both external but also internal pressure. Like I liked being the best. I liked being competitive. It's really what drove me. But I feel like looking back and I'm still dealing with it now is the things that I thought were for health or for wellness, um, or things that made me perform best or be the best in some areas weren't actually for health and wellness. They were for competitive nature. And like in that drive, when we were having to drive back and forth with practice after school and then doing homework, we were eating fast food. I would stop at McDonald's and Wendy's, and I was filling myself with absolutely non-nutritional food, but because that was time saving, because I was, thinking that I had that extra practice in and didn't really have the knowledge and the ability to fully focus on health and wellness or like true wellness in that nature. And I think that it pushed me to do things that weren't really beneficial in the long run. I burnt out a lot. I think it really it made me associate being the best with my identity. And if I couldn't be the best, which as long as you're not competing with, 10 people, as soon as that expands and moving to Venice, it expands. Moving to LA, you're not going to be the best at anything. And that's been really hard pill to swallow of feeling like I'll never be able to keep up. Yeah.
But, I think that the feeling of I'll never be able to keep up, I think is a common thread for all of those who live in LA, if not just passed through LA or visited for a time. But also, I feel like it offers an opportunity to step into your most honest path and your honest calling, if that makes sense.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And something that I have come back to in the comparison game, there's a quote from Tao Te Ching that I absolutely love, and it's about that there is no comparison. There is no other Maddie Steitz in the world. There is no other Gabby in the world. And as soon as you recognize that, and it comes back to like, how do I be the most authentic version of me possible? There's no one else that can do that. I will never be you. You will never be me. And there's no competition. I'm only competing with myself and being the most authentic expression of myself. And the more I can lean into my quirks and the things that do make me me and stand out, the more beautiful I actually feel. The more well and good I actually feel because it's true authentic to me.
100%. And so in your true authenticity and the path that led you to now Maddie's, can you share a little bit about how you got to formulating a natural sweetener? And like, I'm so excited to try it.
I can't wait for you to try it.
Same.
Well, as you know, I love food and have a past in anything cooking. I've done meal prep for you. I did private chef work and really found my niche in baking cakes and sweet things. And I think that's a big part of what's authentic to me as well, is I have a raging sweet tooth and I get it from my mom. There's candy everywhere all over the house. And it's like, move into LA and eating vegan and gluten-free and, quitting drinking and doing everything possible to be healthy. But nothing will stop me from my hot tamales.
Oh my goodness.
Nothing will stop me from a Coca-Cola.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not willing to give up that part of me. And there's so many of my friends that look at me and are like, you're a psychopath. Do you know everything that you're putting into your body right now? Do you know what it is? And I do. And that I'm not willing to give that up. And when it came to baking cakes, it was like, okay, I can substitute everything to make it gluten-free. I can substitute everything to make it vegan. But there was no true substitution for sugar that really satiated me or those that I was serving it to. You can use coconut sugar, but it really has its own distinct like brown sugar flavor. You can use
little nutty.
Yeah, a little nutty. Yeah. It changes everything.
Yeah.
And these other alternatives are not actually healthy. I quickly learned what true ingredients were in the marketed like healthy or natural sweeteners.
Yeah.
And didn't like the taste of them, or even using maple syrup and honey. It changed the taste. And I'm like, this is not my grandma's recipe anymore. This is not the thing that I'm trying to recreate, mostly because of the sweetener.
Yeah.
And I was just on a mission to create the new alternative because I could simply not find one on the market that worked.
Wow. Yeah. So okay, so you were baking cakes, trying to make grandma's recipes, and you were trying like coconut sugar and all the things, but you're like, it's not tasting right. So did you just start mixing them together? Like what is, okay, one, I want to try it. So let's make a bev. Hold on, let's move this because I'm probably going I'm going to knock it as we make it. Okay, so one, also, this is so cute.
Thank you. And they are fully compostable. So cute. Oh. The packets are compostable, and it has been a beautiful journey to just get to make something that looks pretty. Like I'm like, if I'm gonna put something out into the world, it's got to be pretty.
You're like, it has to be pretty. Yeah. When it comes to so in one of these, how many come in it?
30 come in that. So it's about a month supply if you use it every single day, which I do. I use it in my coffee every single morning. And we're working on now actually a bulk container, so that way you can just use a little spoon. But so we can each take a packet, rip off the top.
Are we making one? What are we making?
We are making a all natural lemonade today. And I have a fun little additional ingredient that will have a fun little reaction. It's more of a fun party trick than anything. It's called blue butterfly pea flower powder. But
I just saw on a TikTok that this is another like potential hallucinogenic, and that the Egyptians would infuse it into fermented grape juice, which is aka wine. Yeah. And you let it sit for like a week in a bottle of wine, and it's like a natural hallucinogenic.
Oh my God, I need to try this. I've been having it in my shelf for like 2 years, and I've never done that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so one packet in
just
here.
One packet, one serving. Okay. You might want to rip the entire top off,
too. Okay, rip the entire top off. So clumpy. Wait, so what? I know that it's probably like, is it proprietary?
So it's just 4 ingredients. There's no artificial, so it can clump sometimes because it is truly fully natural. It's kind of our pride and joy in how to tell that it's really natural. So we are using coconut nectar, monk fruit extract, stevia leaf extract, and then what makes us our secret recipe is I actually worked with a food lab and food scientists to develop our own natural flavor that's just a vegetable starch. It's a very special vegetable starch that's dried in a specific way. Which makes it a secret recipe and like perfectly brings together our 3 sweeteners. But yeah, it's truly just those 4 ingredients. And I worked 2 years on it to find just the perfect ratios of it all to where it can more closely replicate that sweetness profile. So the onset of sweet, the peak sweet, and the aftertaste of cane sugar. Even though this is not cane sugar and there is that slight nuttiness from the coconut sugar, it doesn't give you that weird aftertaste that a lot of other sweeteners will. Like stevia, people that hate stevia still like this product. People that like cannot stand monk fruit, they don't think that monk fruit is in this. It's really this perfect balance that they each kind of complement each other in the best of ways.
I'm down. I'm so excited. So
this is just Meyer lemon. I squeezed right before we came 3 lemons.
Love it.
And something else that I love about this is that it dissolves pretty well in both.
I feel like I want to give like anyone who's not watching. What is this called?
Ooh, a little ASMR. Ooh. I can do the little stir.
I feel like I have to whisper while we make this mocktail. I'm kidding. I interrupted you. Okay, so keep going. So Meyer lemon
with this sweetener, and I'm just gonna pour this over the ice.
Okay. Oh, I'm gonna do this into the.
And then I'll top us off with just some sparkling water.
Amaze. There you go. You want it into the mic? Into the mic.
Oh. And then our last little special ingredient. So it's blue. It's like a purpley blue powder. And then as soon as it hits anything acid, so the lemon juice, it'll turn pink. So it's supposed to have this beautiful little pour over effect, especially if you do it with.
Oh, wait. Do that into the camera.
Okay,
Should
yeah.
I hold
Here,
it for you? This is going to get real interesting. Oh, sorry.
Little
okay,
science
ready?
experiment in here.
Ooh.
And then watch while we. Oh,
how pretty. What a
gorgeous?
fun mocktail. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, here. I'm going to pull mine up for that camera. I'm be like, Maddie is doing this.
Gorge.
I'm like, don't know
And
where
then,
to
yeah,
look.
I'm trying to like not to let it like float on top a little bit with a spoon.
Ooh.
And then you can and then it's purple. And then it's pink.
It's purple, it's pink, and it's special.
Yeah.
What's the do you have a name for this?
I don't. I guess.
Have you made this like consistently?
No. I make lemonade all the time with it, but I just had the idea of the blue butterfly powder. So I don't know. This is like blue lemonade.
I love it.
Yeah. Butterfly lemonade.
Maddie's butterfly lemonade.
Cheers.
Cheers. We'll definitely put the little. Oh my God, so good.
Yeah.
It's like not even. Oh my God, that's so good. Okay, so I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I actually don't really like a lot of sweet. I'm quite the opposite. I've just learned that if you know, somebody can comment on this, you know, if they want, teach me. This is why this is a student of beauty. I want to learn. I want to have a conversation about this. I have found on the interwebs and through holistic practitioners that apparently if you crave more of salty foods, it's like your adrenals are depleted and you are actually like, your nervous system is just like in heightened state. And so I always crave salty food.
That tracks.
Yeah, definitely tracks. Yeah. And so I'm not like a big sweets person. Like I want a cookie when I want a cookie and I want a brownie when I want a brownie. But outside of me wanting a cookie or a brownie at certain times, I'm kind of like, I can pass.
You can go without.
Yeah. And so I don't like a lot of sweet.
Okay.
And this is delicious. It's actually incredible. For you ASMR freaks. Literally. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Guys, did you know your oral health is closely linked to your overall health? Issues in your mouth can indicate or contribute to systemic conditions such as heart disease, diabetes, and respiratory infections. For instance, gum disease has been associated with an increased risk of heart disease and diabetes complications. Regular dental checkups help maintain our oral hygiene, which in turn supports our overall health and well-being. If you're in the Los Angeles area, be sure to check out our friends and Dr. Chen at Kindred Dentistry in Pasadena. For new patients with no insurance, she has a special for $300 that includes a comprehensive exam, full mouth x-rays, prophy cleaning, and oral cancer screening. For patients with insurance, they accept PPO that are in network with most insurance companies. And for anyone who wants a little gift, they're offering a free custom at-home whitening tray and bleaching gel. To book your first appointment with Dr. Chen and to get your free whitening tray, you can schedule online at kindreddentistry.com. That's KINDREDDENTISTRY.com. And make sure to use code ASOBXKindred. So good. Oh my gosh.
I'm glad you like it. It's so fun that it's like lemonade, but super dark.
Yeah. I'm like also, I was like, didn't realize I had a napkin next to me. So thank you. Thank you.
Made us prepared. I'm always spilling. I'm such a mess. But yeah, it's the perfect amount of sweetness. I typically use 2 packets of sugar. I'll spill the beans. I use 2 packets in my morning coffee because I'm such a sweet tooth. But we really designed this to be for anyone with sweet, not the ridiculous sweet tooth that we all know that I am and that some of us tend to be.
Yeah, no, and it's been really interesting, like talking to you about the brand. And before you came on, one of the biggest things that or one of the biggest reasons why I wanted you on the show to have this conversation is because I'm Filipino American, and being Filipino American, I am predisposed to diabetes. I honestly feel like it's solely because of a lack thereof in education in the nutritional area.
Cultural diet.
Definitely when it comes to cultural diet and everything. But then I also spending time in the Philippines, I'm like, everything when you're there is just so natural. Like you actually, it's very well balanced that it's kind of, I don't know, the American diet obviously has it, but there are a lot of starch. There is. And I think cultural beliefs too is a big one because we're told, and I was told growing up, I think I shared this with you on our phone call, that, you know, the older I got, the sicker my grandfather got growing up. And I saw diabetes take him out. And I saw the slow, painful, and quite torturous death that diabetes can have on somebody. And it was so impactful on my life because, you know, I was also overweight as a kid. And so as my grandfather had diabetes, as my grandmother had high cholesterol, and, you know, my dad's family was, I was always told that they had like hypertension. And, you know, I remember an uncle telling me that, you know, it's not only adults who are dying from diseases anymore.
Yeah.
It's younger kids too. And I was a 90s kid. So I empathize with you because, you know, at the end of the day, I was a competitive dancer growing up, and it was a 45 minute drive to and from the dance studio. And so, yeah, my mom and dad would stop over at fast food restaurants or drop me off food, and it would be like McDonald's or Burger King, or I would like, there was a pub across the street that would let us buy lunch when you're a kid. So I would buy like a burger and fries or like chicken strips and fries.
And it was a treat.
It was a treat.
You were excited about it.
Yeah. But it wasn't sustainable. But when it came to the sugar formulation, and you say that you use 2 packets of sugar a day because you are a sugar fiend, and this brand was started from a sugar addiction. What have you learned about glycemic spikes? And has there been anything that you found within your own body and your own blood work as you've been, you know, developing this?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And I'm starting to do more testing on myself, which I'm excited to share soon. I'm starting to prick myself whenever I'm drinking it and testing myself with it. But when I moved to LA, I was pretty healthy eater. I've always been a healthy eater since I was younger and started to cook for myself, all for performance. But slowly as I got older, went closer and closer to veganism, and was often on gluten-free. Found out that I'm not celiac, but I have a very high intolerance. And so at one point, starting in 2019, I was eating vegan and gluten-free diet and pretty much no processed foods other than like when I went to the movies or on that 10% treat.
Yeah.
And I gained weight. I gained I don't weigh myself anymore, but I was bloated all the time. I hated myself in every photo, and I did not understand what was going on. And I was starving all the time. I was eating all the time. I was craving sweets more than ever.
Yeah.
And I learned that it was because of my glucose levels. I was spiking and crashing all the time, and I was hyperglycemic. And it was something that I really didn't know how to control. I was never taught about glucose monitoring or how to do that with myself. I'm like, oh, I'm a skinny little girl. Like, I'm never going to be diabetic. I was terrified of being overweight most of my life because I saw a lot of family members struggle with it. And to then have the opposite issue to where I'm craving sugar all the time because my body is needing it because I'm just not maintaining that steady energy level. I learned more about how, in what order I eat and what I eat in order to stabilize. It's not about avoiding so much what you're eating, but how you eat it, and in order to avoid the roller coaster that happens. Because when you get the spike, that means you're setting yourself up for a crash. And when you crash, you get a headache, you get tired, and that's when I would crave sugar the most. And that's when it's like, I need something sweet right now. My body was screaming at me of like, feed me, feed me. We need energy and we need sugar that can quickly turn over into energy to get through this. Just like endurance athletes are eating gummy bears or like having these little weird goos that typically have sugar in them because it's such a quick energy conversion. And so I really learned how to stabilize my blood sugar. So I'm doing a lot more apple cider vinegar and fermented foods, and a lot more fiber in my diet, as well as focusing on protein. And when I started implementing after 3 years of being fully vegan, other than like honey, I would do local honey. I started eating eggs again in the morning. And that changed the game for me. I used to start my days with protein shakes in the morning and like fresh fruit and granola and chia seeds. But so much of that sugar, even though it was all natural sugars
was
and
spiking
healthy,
you.
it was spiking me.
Yep.
And I would absolutely crash in the afternoon. So then instead of switching to a savory breakfast that I have never craved, I hated a savory breakfast. It's like pancakes and waffles all day, every day. And now I have eggs and avocado for a little bit of fat and some potatoes. And I love salsa verde. It's like I eat the same thing for breakfast every single day now. And it has changed my life. I kid you not. I attribute most of my journey over this last year of just being able to perform better in the gym and get through days without crashing at 3 p.m. by eating eggs in the morning and just starting with protein, starting with fiber, and setting myself up from day one and from when I wake up to avoid the roller coaster.
Yeah, no. And that's something that I feel like a lot of people don't take into consideration is getting your blood work done before you try the latest and greatest diet trend.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was something that was a game changer for me as well. I loved what you were talking about when you were saying that you tried the veganism, the gluten-free, and you're like, I'm gaining weight. What is happening?
Like I'm doing everything.
You're like, I'm doing everything. It's not working. I feel like that happened to me. I was in a constant caloric deficit for a minute, and I was trying to get the last couple, like, percentages. I just wanted it to move. I was like, just please. I like work out so much and I'm not really eating and I just need the needle to move a little bit. And I actually took a little bit of a break from the caloric deficit. I ate more well-rounded meals, like full like plate and complementing food. And Maddie has had the advice of a actual like nutritionist, right? And like a food scientist on her board. So these are all like learnings that you're having. And what not a lot of people know about me is that in the pandemic, I don't think I've told anybody. So now I'm going to tell this like publicly. Is that I kind of had an identity crisis, as I should, because everything shut down. This is not the time to share that story. But I will say what I did with some of my stimulus money was I went back to school because I wasn't working. I didn't know what to do. And I was like bored out of my mind. And so I went back to school. I went to get like a master aesthetics license, started doing skincare, and then also started going to Santa Monica City College online for like nutrition. And I actually wanted to go into nutrition and Chinese medicine before I got into makeup, actually. There was a fork in the road. I don't know if I shared that with you on the phone.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was a moment where I was looking at makeup schools in LA with my dad. I was sitting in the living room. I'll never forget. I was like 17 or 18 years old. And I told my dad, I was like, well, you know what else I found, Dad? I found one of the top Chinese medicine schools up in Northern California, like by Eureka. I could also just do that and stay in the Bay Area. Like I don't have to go to LA. My dad was like, you've been going to beauty school. You have your state board coming up. Maybe you just focus on that. But it's always been a part of me that has been so hungry to like learn, hence a student of beauty because I always want to learn. But yeah, that was one of the biggest eye-openers in my nutrition course that I took. And it was, that protein helps balance your sugar spikes. So mix your carbs with the protein so that you level out. And also that, this is something random, but that coconut oil is actually not good for you. And that everybody's marketing coconut oil as being amazing for you. And it's like, that's the number one worst oil that you could actually ingest into your body. And I tell some of my like hippie, like wellness, very like active in the, you know, in the health space, in the scene. And I'm always like, hello, don't eat the coconut oil. Like, don't put it on your body, put it on your hair. Don't put it in your body. And it's like, and so I started actually clocking it, and I will not buy brands like with the heavy coconut oil because I'm sorry, but like, I can't, because I know that like it's worse than putting lard on a piece of toast. I need you guys to like actually comprehend that. And all the actual certified, board certified dietetics and like nutritionists, dietitians, please, you know, like comment on it, because at the end of the day, we're doing more harm than you are doing good following a trend.
Yeah. It's all trends. And you see the influencer say it, you see it work for a couple people. And I truly believe that it is working for some of them because they're making a radical change in their diet. And it works for about 3 months. And then you get the effects. And then you find out all the bad things that are going on.
So going back about the effects and the bad things that are going on, one thing also that I so relate to is getting the blood work done. I went to Forward Health because I lost my health insurance in the pandemic, because, you know,
we all did.
We all lost it. Whoever was working in Hollywood, it was gone. And I had to figure out another like alternative. And so Forward Health was really emerging in the LA and San Diego area. I don't even think their Chicago office was open yet. It was not, because I started going to San Diego and I really like the doctor there. And they're like, oh, sorry, she moved. She went to Chicago to open the location. I was like, damn it. But anyway, Forward Health is incredible because they literally will do a full body assessment with your blood work and put on a big screen like this, your full blood panel. And you don't have to wait for your A1, what is it? The A1C? The A1C. It's on the screen, so you can see it. And they caught that my glucose levels were high. I was eating so clean, so healthy. And I truly kind of was at the time, but I was just eating a lot of carbs. There was a surplus of carbohydrates in my body. My body is not positioned to essentially break down carbs in the same capacity that somebody else can. So I was on that cusp. I was in the like high range, and I shifted my diet to Mediterranean diet based on the blood work, based as advised by the doctor doing my screening with me. She just was like, Mediterranean diet, lean proteins, you know, leafy greens, fruits, vegetables. She was like, watch any complex, you know, all of your carbohydrates, including complex carbohydrates. She was like, just be very mindful. And I was able to drop it 12 points and get into the average within a month by just adjusting it.
Right.
But it's like, you can't.
It's that one thing. Which is so funny that I was the exact opposite. It was like, I was not getting enough carbs. I needed to raise, instead of craving sugar all the time. It's like, oh, just eat some rice.
Just like get the good carbs in.
Exactly. But I was no, gluten-free is healthy for me. I need to be gluten-free. I need to, like, all carbs are bad. It's like, no, for my body, I needed more of that. My body needed to convert.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, it's been the biggest breakthrough, I think, in my health when it comes to stepping away from all of the trends and what everybody is doing. Because I have some friends that were like, I'm doing keto, I'm doing this. And I'm like, but then like, what happens when you stop doing it? And like, what are your cholesterol levels looking like? Like what, you know, and it's just kind of like, I have no cred, like, because I'm not like a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. Like, I'm just a makeup artist, you know? And I'm just like, but at the same time, I'm like, hey, like, maybe you want to check.
Right. Like, you're not either. Like, maybe we should all go to
the doctor. Maybe there's, you know,
there's people with licenses and education
that could like maybe help like balance you out a little bit. And I think that that's the biggest thing, is like actually going to the people. And so like this right now, like, we are no experts. You are a founder. I'm a makeup artist stepping into this digital space, but wanting to be honest about the fact that this is how everybody gets ahead. They ask their friends. They ask for advice. And I think like what
they bring on a food scientist.
Yeah. So what was that? What was that process like for you bringing on your food scientist?
I had the recipe. So I had figured out this perfect ratio after being a mad scientist in my kitchen and trying all these different recipes. And a lot of them didn't taste good.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you that from the start. So I had this like basic recipe and we're like, how do we make this the best thing possible? Because if I'm launching this thing, it needs to be good. It needs to be validated. And I want to go through the correct process and take the time to do so. So thank God for our third board member. So I have a co-founder, Robbie. He has the matcha company. And then one of my other best friends, John, introduced us to Anthony Almada, who is our food scientist. He worked and helped develop seed probiotics.
Amazing.
And I owe him so much. I love Anthony. He's amazing. And he gave us so much advice and partnered us with not only our flavor house that helped me develop our natural flavor and figure out the science behind what each of these different things are doing on a molecular level in order to create like one sweetener, but he ran our glucose study. So we brought in 20 different people, all from different backgrounds and age ranges, different levels of exercise and health, and had them fasted all night. So they were like on a 10-hour fast and drank 5 servings of our sweetener on an empty stomach with just a little bit of water. And then they were pricked with the monitor every 15 minutes.
Wow.
And tested for 2 hours. No food the entire time. And just what will this sweetener do to you? And not even just the 1 serving size, but 5 servings, which I've never even had in one sitting.
Wow.
And we were able to prove that you do not have a roller coaster happen. You do not have a crazy spike. You do not have a crazy crash. No, other than me, actually, I was the outlier because I was so stressed that morning and hyperglycemic
Oh my
that
goodness.
even before I was pricked or even before I ingested it, I was like off the charts
Oh my goodness.
because of my condition. But yeah, we were able to confidently say, and we have the entire study published on our website, that this will not spike your blood sugar. We have the data out there. You can see the graphs. I'm excited to keep sharing more as I keep testing myself. But I also have family members that are pre-diabetic, and this is like my love to them. This is my gift to them of like, you don't have to give up the thing that you love most in the world. It's like for birthdays, for weddings, for celebrations of all sorts is when we have cupcakes and cake and these things that are supposed to be like the most special thing.
And enjoyed.
Yeah, exactly. And now we're seeing it as like the bad, nasty thing. And, oh, well, if I want to shed a couple pounds, I'm always going to say no to the slice of cake. It's like, no, I don't believe in that. I'm so tired of the diet culture of absolutes, of absolutely none of this, or I'm cutting this out forever and I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
I'm only doing this. It's like, no, we can have our cake and eat it too. You can enjoy the
Literally.
sweet things in life. Yeah, literally. And I nothing brings me more joy than like showing up to a party and back in COVID when I would show up to a party and serve this cake and the person that was a supermodel could eat it. The person that was a superior athlete could eat it and enjoy it. The person that didn't give a fuck about what they were consuming and just really wanted a delicious slice of cake and didn't want a crazy weird alternative enjoyed it. And the person that is celiac could enjoy it. It's like I don't think that we should have to give up the best things in life, and I'm not willing to.
Our full and busy lives can sometimes leave us looking for something different. Retreats are incredible, but have you found a retreat that also allows you to give back? Well, our friends at the Wholeness Journey are equal parts mission trip, yoga retreat, and self-development workshop that also integrates giving back in their programming. Their team focuses on personal development, leadership, coaching, spiritual growth, wellness modalities through yoga, all to encourage attendees' healing journeys while giving back with those on the retreat. The team and attendees give back through local organizations to support individuals, families, and communities affected by trauma, human trafficking, and poverty both locally and globally. For more information, you can visit wholenessjourney.org. 2 things. 1, only in LA will you show up to a party and have 4 different types of the same dish to meet everybody's dietary restrictions. And only in LA will you show up to a party? And if you don't have an alternative to a potluck, you are the asshole. And only Angelinos understand this.
Yep.
Because also I was that asshole that needed the alternative too. Because
I'm still that asshole. I show up with it.
You're like, but now I bring it. No, I feel like that is a second thing that I wanted to comment on was that, my family being more predisposed to diabetes. My father, having high glucose levels now, and just knowing that there's this consciousness in the back of everybody's minds kind of haunting us oh no, but if you don't watch it, you can become pre-diabetic. I was 0.3 points away from being considered pre-diabetic. That was the biggest eye-opener for me, was getting my blood work done so that I could adjust my diet and work with a professional who could monitor my levels. And let me tell you, the moment that I not only brought my levels down and actually ate full, well-balanced meals, I dropped the 2% without even trying the 2% body fat that I was not even trying. I thought everything was going to spike because I was eating so much, but I was like, oh my God, it actually did the opposite. Yeah.
Your body's like, finally.
Seriously. But I know we're running out of time. So I did want to ask you, because you said you hate diet culture, how has diet culture impacted your life and your perception of self?
You're talking to Miss Sorority President here. I've tried every diet fad, and I've been very unhealthy in my past and in my behind closed doors. Really was not eating enough, was doing crazy amounts of cardio. I tried fasting for a while. I tried to convince myself that I liked black coffee, and I was mentally miserable through that whole time. I still never loved my body. It was the same thing of looking back at photos of all these different ages that I'm like, oh, in that moment, I thought that I looked fat. Oh, in that moment, I wanted to lose 5 more pounds. So many times I always was like, oh, if I just lose 5 more pounds. Oh, if I just get a little bit more toned. And to me, it's just, it really makes me sad to think I've spent so much of my life doing that and being miserable in my body because I didn't need to be. And when it comes to actually eating the full meal and getting a good night's sleep and talking to a doctor, getting your blood work done, drinking water, I did this whole I went through such a journey. I had SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and went deep into the rigorous doctor visits and getting everything tested and going on medications and really resetting my body. The number one thing that changed for me was drinking more water.
It's really that simple sometimes, y'all.
Drinking more water.
And just going to a checkup.
Yeah.
And if you can't go to a checkup, go to Forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it affected me a lot in that I wanted to be the pretty Barbie looking girl so much and expected it of myself and was willing to do anything, including be miserable in order to do so. And I think it's to speak more highly of Venice and of LA is it's so much more about the holistic wellness and the full picture. And I really see wellness as multiple pillars. It's not just physical wellness, it's emotional, it's mental, spiritual, and social wellness. And if one of those 5 pillars is lacking, which when, you're crushing yourself at the gym and saying no to the social events because you don't want to eat the food, your social wellness isn't there, your emotional wellness isn't there, your mental wellness isn't there. And that also can affect how you look physically. That can make you bloated. That can make you have extra acne. That can affect you in all of these ways. But it's
in your nervous system.
Your entire nervous system.
Now nervous system is trending.
Yeah.
But my nervous system is shot. I literally just got a holistic screening and she was like, your eyes look like you're about to go to war. And I was like, no wonder. I feel like I'm about to fight somebody at every single. But anyways, so
But
no,
I feel
I'm
like
getting.
so many of us females are also in that boat because there's all of these societal pressures to look like the girl on TikTok, look like the Instagram model, and like we're killing ourselves in order to do so. And it taking a deep breath, drinking the water, not the Kool-Aid, drinking just more water and getting more sleep is what actually does it. And I did for 5 days. I did this specific cleanse, but the hardest things for me, it was like you need to get 8 to 10 hours of sleep every night. You need to be drinking a gallon of water every single day.
This 75 hard. Did you do 30 hard?
No, okay. I did it. It's called the Wellness Mastery Flush.
Okay.
And it was like so simple. Like to me, it was like, okay, is this really gonna work? I was taking a bunch of supplements, but it was sleep and walking. I was supposed to only be doing like yoga and stretching and light walking instead of weight training and walking and running. I was eating and drinking shakes like 5 times a day and drinking so much water. In 5 days, I looked like I lost 15 pounds.
Because you just took the stress out of your body. You flushed the cortisol out of your body. And you know how I knew that? Because I've lived in LA for so long.
Bye-bye cortisol.
Bye-bye cortisol.
Yeah, but that's what it was. It was a cortisol flush.
Yeah. And it's so crazy how when you're so in the wellness space and when you're around people who are educated, when you're working with doctors, when you're working with the scientists, how much that directly impacts your understanding of how to rebalance everything. And so what was your biggest takeaway from that? And I guess from experiencing that sense of grounding and how much strides can actually happen with a sense of like leveled peace holistically, what is your hope for the future of diet culture and the wellness capital of the world?
My hope is that it truly becomes this holistic picture. And I think we're getting there.
I'm going to clock it. Mark my words, within the next 5 years, the entire world is like going to be trending with like wellness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that it really is so much more than how your body looks. It's how your body feels and it's how your mind feels. To me, I think that there's just such a connection to your mind and your body. And it was proven in my cortisol flush, but I really don't think that you can be a pillar of health and look it unless you're truly healthy in all of these areas, because it's going to catch up with you. A big change for me has been, I love working out. I was raised as an athlete, and when I was in my most unhealthy stage of diet culture, which was in college, I hated working out. I was going to the gym only to burn calories. And now it's kind of my rule of, I still go to the gym every day or most every day, but it's because I am stressed and it's going to make me feel good. I go as meditation. I go as a way to just listen to music and be off my phone for an hour. Or that's when I get to scroll TikTok when I'm on the bike at the gym. And it is something that I truly look forward to. And if instead I'm dragging myself to the gym to burn calories because I want to be able to fit into the dress that night, I don't go to the gym. I go for a walk. I do something else because I think your body knows and you feel it. It's I'm moving out of love for myself, not of hate for myself. Yeah.
On that note of moving out of love, I'm like realizing I'm not drinking your drink, and it's so good.
I keep like burping.
Moving out of love for yourself and not hate for yourself. One question that I do want to ask is, what does wellness actually mean to you?
Yeah. Such a good question, because I feel like it has changed a lot for me over the years. In the past, it used to just be like, oh, well, I feel good.
Yeah.
I was taught and keep being taught by the universe over and over, but at a young age, of both how important taking care of yourself is, both physically and mentally. I broke both my arms when I was young at the same time. I was 13 years old and had multiple surgeries, but like literally couldn't wipe my own butt.
Oh my goodness.
And it showed me just how important it is to take care of your body and how special it is to have this vehicle.
Yeah.
And how much I wanted to take care of it. And that was the first of, I've had other ridiculous accidents of like concussions and just random weird injuries that you forget how important it is to take care of this body until it's taken away from you. And it's now my number one value in life is true wellness. And it's being able to know and take care of this body so that way I can have it and use it for all the things that I want to do for the rest of my life. But then also my mind is through that instance, as well as many other things that happened, is, I can look good on the outside. I can look like I'm thriving, but it can be absolute hell on the inside at times. And it's really important to take care of yourself because that can also completely debilitate you and keep you from getting out of bed in the morning, keep you from doing the things that you love.
Yeah.
And I learned the hard way that it is the number one most important thing in my life to take care of. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, so.
Now being a founder, I want to ask if you could give 5, like, just quick, like, rapid fire tips on how to take care of yourself as you're building a business, as you're working for yourself, for all of the girls who are on the go. Goodness, do we put ourselves last at times, especially when you're starting to lead and work with multiple teams? We are the last ones sometimes. And some days, even on our best days, if, lately for me, it's been like, if I can get a 10-minute jog before I pick up my laptop to respond to an email, it's a good day. So what are your top 5 wellness tips for any founder, any solo entrepreneur?
Figure out your non-negotiables. So for me, I have to move my body every single day. Otherwise, I will go crazy. So like today I fallen in love with rowing because I do like cardio, but 10 minutes of walking on the treadmill doesn't do it for me, but 10 minutes of rowing, that'll do it for me. So I will go to the gym, hop on the rower for 10 minutes and then leave. And that's my workout. I'm in and out in 15 minutes. And some days that'll do it. I don't get my hour workout. 2, drink water. I know you want the I drink so much coffee. There's some days I drink way too much coffee. Drink water with it. Just stay hydrated because a headache will take you out. There's so much that dehydration will do.
I would like to say the coffee water chase is like my caffeine hack. If you have to drink a lot of coffee to get you through, it's like for a cup of coffee, like chug a glass of water in between. So before you pour your second cup, just pour it with water and just slam it back.
I'm like, I'm not allowed to have that until I have this.
And it helps the caffeine go.
Completely.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, 3. You're good. 3, never forget about your relationships. My relationships, I would say, if it's not, it's in wellness, but like number 2 is love and connection for me when it comes to values. My relationships come first and foremost for everything, because when your business goes to shit, when you have a horrible day, when everything, it feels like it's the end of the world, what do you have left? You have your people, and you want to make sure that your support system is there and you do not abandon them just because you're on a mission. That it is so important. And me and my co-founder have been through the ups and downs of founding a business together, but like, I love him.
I feel you.
I used to date his brother. So
shout out to co-founders.
Honestly, Robbie, I love you.
I know, Alan, same. I was like, God, it's so much easier to like build something when you have a counterpart.
Oh my gosh.
Especially a male counterpart. I don't think okay, so one girl boss to another who has a male counterpart as a business partner. Isn't it great?
Oh my gosh. We balance each other in so many ways.
It
is so needed.
Listen, I'm all for the girl boss. I understand it. I'm all for girl teams. I'm all for it. But when coming from all girl, it's just, there's a nice balance that happens.
Well, and I think I'm so over girl boss culture that demonizes men.
Same.
It is not it. That is not what being a girl boss is for me. I
No.
love my boys. It's like I want to be a part of the boys club. That's
Yeah.
what girl bossing is for me. It's
Yeah.
not about hating them.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Alone time. I have fallen in
Yeah.
love with being alone.
Yeah.
I love my alone time and to just be able to breathe and think for myself.
Yeah.
It's when I've had my best ideas. It's when I feel creative. It's when I get to recharge.
Yeah.
I absolutely love my alone time. 90% of the time.
Amazing.
And then number 5, there is no rule book or playbook. If you're doing something like creating a sweetener, being the student of beauty, there's literally, you don't want to follow in someone's footsteps. That is not my goal. There's so many people that I look up to and aspire to be like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to, there's absolutely no playbook for me, and I will not follow any single one person's advice. And I don't think anyone should.
It's kind of going back to the authenticity piece that you were talking about.
Absolutely. It's like only you know. And the other part of being a girl boss and our special superpower is that female intuition. And let me tell you, it has done everything for me. This formula would not be the formula that it is if it wasn't for listening and being like, I have this random wild idea. I didn't read it anywhere. I didn't figure it out online.
Yep.
I didn't talk to a food scientist about it. And there is something special in that intuition and in that flow, creative state.
Yeah.
And this product would not exist without it.
That is so divine. As cheesy as that was. But Maddie, I want to spend so much more time talking to you.
I could talk to you for hours.
I know.
I have questions for you.
Oh my goodness. I know. I'm gonna have you back. I feel like there's a larger conversation I want to have in regards to wellness and diet and everything. But before we wrap up, I just want to ask you one last question of what are you the most excited with Maddie's, your natural sweetener? And like what is exciting you in this process?
What's exciting me most is how many people that this product is truly their saving grace. And we don't have one target customer. We have 5 different types of target customers. And it's not just me and your LA, Erewhon shopper that's looking for the latest and greatest in food trends.
But shout out to Erewhon.
but shout out.
We want to see Maddie's at Erewhon.
We are in talks. It's not just that. It's not supposed to be just like the next beautiful, expensive product. It's also the family member that is diabetic or pre-diabetic. It's also the person that is desperate for a truly healthy sweetener for whatever reason possible. If it has to be for diabetes, if it's for a very specific diet that you have to be on, there's a lot of people that have bypass surgery and aren't able to have regular sugar and just are drinking horrible tasting things.
Got it.
But then also for your kids. I look at so much childhood joy in a lemonade stand and in the treats that you share with your family. Some of my best memories were learning how to bake with my grandma and being in the kitchen and making cupcakes for grandpa. And I don't think we need to give that up. And it's about changing the narrative of what that diet means and what diet culture is. Almost every natural sweetener or sugar alternative that is currently on the market is about this unhealthy diet culture of 0 calories and about restriction and about just less and less and less. And instead we're while one packet is 0 calories, it's not about that. We're using coconut sugar, and that's a caloric sweetener. So when you have more than one serving or when you're baking with it, there are calories in it. And it's because it's about what the ingredients are doing to your body. It's about how you digest them. It's not about fitting into this narrative. I want to reprogram what the narrative is and teach people what they're consuming.
And numbers is just energy in so that you can energy out. That's it.
Absolutely.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Again, not any type of certified nutritionist or anything like that, but just do your research and follow the right influencers and the right voices to get, tapped into the right advice when it comes to your health journey. I think that's a big thing too. But
I would suggest look up why the 0-calorie sweeteners on the market are 0 calories. It's really scary.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I'm like, another podcast. We're gonna talk about that. Yeah. But Maddie, thank you so much for being here with us.
Gabby. It was so fun.
Of course. And shameless plug. I'm gonna let you rip off all of the places, or not rip off. Let's say, I'm gonna let you just, go and plug all the places where people can find you. How can we find you?
Yeah. The only place that we're sold currently is MADDIE'SNaturalSweetener.com. We just
DTC.
Lowered our price. Yeah, D2C. We also are doing ingredient sales. So if any other founders out there or brands are looking for a better sweetener alternative, we do ingredient supply. In maybe your favorite Tenzo tea matcha, it's all sweetened with Maddie's Natural Sweetener. And follow me on Instagram at Maddie's Natural Sweetener and at Sweetest Fork on TikTok. Yay. We have a good little following, and you get to see a little bit more of the behind the scenes sassiness side of me on there.
Amazing, Maddie. Again, thank you so much for having the time to spend with me. I know you're busy building this beautiful brand that's going to make such an impact, and I'm so thrilled to see where this takes you.
I'm so grateful for you. Thank you.
You're so welcome.